Gentlemen?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Thank you so much, Troy. Good afternoon, everyone. It is about 3:10 on March 11th. You're welcome to our land use and public hearing. If you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Attorney Garcia, do we have certification of today's agenda?
Yes, you do. The County Attorney's Office reviewed all items on the agenda. You have appropriate jurisdiction over these matters, and where necessary, posting has been made.
Thank you very much. And do any commissioners have disclosures for items on today's agenda?
No, sir.
Nope.
Okay, and neither do I. So with that, we'll jump right into item 2, our land use meeting agenda items. The first item is 2A, Sterling Ranch Filing 6A, First Amendment, Approval Extension, Project File XT 2025-002. Brett Thomas presenting for staff. Hi, Brett.
Hello, Commissioners. Brett Thomas, representing Planning Services. Request included as part of this presentation is an approval extension for Sterling Ranch Filing 6A, First Amendment. The owner is Sterling Ranch LLC. The applicant requests a one-year extension of the approval of Sterling Ranch Filing 6A, First Amendment until March 12, 2026. As depicted on this map, the site is located within the Sterling Ranch development, west of the intersection of Waterton Road and Eagle River Street. Subdivision resolution allows the director to grant a time extension for plat recordation for up to 1 year upon a written request by the applicant for good cause being shown. Further extensions may be granted by the Board of County Commissioners at a public meeting upon the written request by the applicant. In this case, the director granted a 1-year extension for the plat through March 12th, 2025. Based on standards for an extension of plat recordation extension to March 12, 2026 for Sterling Ranch Filing 6A First Amendment, subject to the 4 original conditions of approval, may be approved by the board. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to take questions if the board wishes, otherwise the applicant's available.
Great. Thanks so much, Brett. Any questions for staff before we welcome up the applicant? Okay, seeing none, we'll welcome up the applicant for their presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. Kevin Jonk, J-O-H-N-K, the Director of Engineering for Sterling Ranch Development Company. We have no presentation other than just the request for the extension to have more time to determine, what is the the correct and the best use for the property.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Kevin. I'll open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay, seeing none. Troy, do we have any citizen comment online?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, sir. No online comment.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Mr. Chair, if it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve Sterling Ranch Filing 6A First Amendment, approval extension, project files XT 2025-002.
I second that motion, and then I have a question for staff.
Yes, sir.
Did you say that there's 4 conditions applied to this time extension?
The 4 conditions carry over from the original final plat
Okay.
that was approved a year ago.
All right, that makes sense.
Okay, so no conditions for today, obviously, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 2B, a subdivision improvements agreement and intergovernmental agreement for Sterling Ranch, filing number 7C, project file DV 2024-410. Ken Murphy. Brett, are you presenting again? Okay, we'll turn it over to Brett.
Will be presented as one, presented separately, but as one presentation. Project before you, Commissioners, is Sterling Ranch Filing 7C Final Plat, project number SB 2024-060. Sterling Ranch Development Company is the project representative on behalf of the owner, Sterling Ranch LLC. As part of this presentation, staff will also provide information on the Subdivision Improvements Agreement, Intergovernmental Agreement, or SIA-IGA, for filing 7C. The applicant proposes 430 residential lots, 32 tracts, and associated public and private roads on approximately 47 acres. The intent of the final plat process is to provide for the review of the final engineering plans, the subdivision improvement agreement, public dedications, and other legal agreements. Final plat process begins with submittal of an application, following a review period by referral agencies and the public, and acceptance of engineered plans. The request is considered by the board at a public meeting. No public comments were received. All referral agency comments are outlined in the referral agency report, as well as the referral response letters attached to the staff report. The applicant response letter to referral comments is also included in the staff report. The site, indicated by the red star, is located in the northwest part of the county within Sterling Ranch Development. Property is located within the Chatfield urban area as identified in the 2040 Comprehensive Master Plan. Consistent with Urban Land Use Goal 2-1, request proposes urban development in a designated urban area. The design of Filing 7C supports healthy communities, provides appropriate trail improvements and open spaces, is located away from environmentally sensitive lands, provides a street hierarchy, which minimizes the use of cul-de-sacs and includes a mix of housing types to foster a balanced community. A thorough discussion of applicable goals and policies and objectives of the 2040 CMP are discussed in detail within the staff analysis section of the staff report, as well as the applicant's narrative. The site is located east of Roxborough Park Road, approximately 3,000 feet north of its intersection with Waterton Road. This is an aerial of the property. Portions of Filing 7A are to the east and south. Filing 7B is located north of the site. Unplatted portions of Sterling Ranch Development are located to the west of the site across Roxborough Park Road. The site was rezoned to planned development with approval of the Sterling Ranch PD by the Board of County Commissioners in 2013. Associated with the approval of the Sterling Ranch PD, the board also approved the Sterling Ranch Water Supply Standards Appeal for certain provisions to Section 18A of the zoning resolution. In 2021, the board approved the amended and restated water appeal, which among other changes allowed for the CAB to propose alternate minimum water demand standards as part of future development. In October of 2022, the board reviewed and approved preliminary plan 7, consisting of 1,667 residential lots, 5 superblock lots, 117 tracts, and associated public roads and private drives, of which this site is a part. The final plat layout substantially conforms to the approved preliminary plan 7. Filing 7C is the third final plat application to be submitted within preliminary plan 7. This slide is an overview of the final plat exhibit. The applicant proposes 430 residential lots and 32 tracts. The site design provides approximately 10 acres of open space. Tract V is proposed as a 1-acre park. In addition, portions of Burns Regional Park were dedicated with Filing 7A and are located to the east. The layout of the final plat is consistent with the approved preliminary plan 7. These are the approval standards applicable to a final plat. Detailed assessment of the project's compliance with all standards is included in the staff report. Final plat addresses all applicable subdivision design elements that were evaluated as part of the approval of the preliminary plan. In addition, the water appeal approval standards apply to this application. All engineered plans, studies, and reports required for Filing 7C have been reviewed and approved by engineering. Staff has evaluated the final plat request in accordance with Article 5 of the subdivision resolution. Required improvements are identified and secured through the SIA-IGA for Filing 7C. Action on proposed condition number 1 is required prior to action on the final plat. Condition number 1, prior to the board's action on the final plat, the subdivision improvements agreement, intergovernmental agreement for Filing 7C shall be approved by the board. Condition number 2, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment in the amount of $1,500 per single-family dwelling unit to the Douglas County School District for capital mitigation. For multifamily dwelling units within the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment in the amount of $750 per unit to the Douglas County School District for capital mitigation prior to site improvement plan approval. Condition number 3, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall provide payment to Douglas County for the pro rata share costs towards improvements to the state highway system in accordance with commitments set forth in the Sterling Ranch PD. Condition number 4, prior to recordation of the final plat, the property within filing 7C shall be included into one or more of the Sterling Ranch metropolitan districts. Condition number 5, prior to recordation of the final plat, the private telecommunication easement shall be recorded and reception numbers noted on the final plat exhibit. Condition number 6, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall coordinate with Xcel Energy on an agreement to establish adequate provision for electric and natural gas service to the satisfaction of Douglas County. Condition number 7, prior to recordation of the final plat, technical corrections to the final plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. Condition number 8, Colorado Division of Wildlife literature shall be made available to prospective homeowners concerning the possible presence of wildlife and shall be available at all times. Condition number 9, a burrowing owl survey shall be performed if any earth moving will begin between March 15th and October 31st. And condition number 10, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 504.06 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's determination on final plat requests as noted on this slide. The SIA-IGA that accompanies the final plat is a 3-party agreement between the county, Sterling Ranch Development Company, and Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board. The purpose of the SIA-IGA for Sterling Ranch Filing 7C is to provide for completion of streets, traffic facilities, sidewalks, storm drainage infrastructure, water infrastructure, and sanitary infrastructure. Ken Murphy with engineering is available if you have specific questions regarding the agreement. This concludes presentation on the final plat for Sterling Ranch Filing 7C and the SIA-IGA. 2 motions are necessary from the board. The first, a motion would be made for the SIA-IGA, followed by a second motion on the final plat. Staff's available to take questions at this time. Otherwise, Sterling Ranch and its representatives have a presentation.
Great, thank you so much, Brett. Any questions for staff before we invite the applicant to present? Yes, Commissioner Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What were the dates associated with clause number 9 dealing with the owl?
March 15th to October 31st.
Okay. And who is that determined by? Who determines that, or how is that determined?
It's a standard condition that's come from the Division of Wildlife, or Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They're the ones that have that date.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Additional questions? Okay, I have none either. We'll welcome up the applicant again.
Good afternoon again. Again, I am Kevin Jonk, J-O-H-N-K, Director of Engineering for Sterling Ranch Development Company, 8155 Piney River Avenue, Suite 200, Sterling Ranch, Colorado, 80125. Thank you, Chairman Layden, Commissioner Teal, and Commissioner Van Winkle for your time this afternoon and for your consideration of the 7C final plat. I would also like to thank the Douglas County Planning staff and Public Works and Engineering staff for their partnership, their professionalism, and their hard work on this project. In my role as Director of Engineering at Sterling Ranch, I serve as the bridge in our organization between entitlement and the construction land development activities. We've been before the board several times over this past year for final plats within Filing 7. Those plats are under construction now, so I'm presenting to you today to be able to give you some insights, not just on our 7C application, but also on the construction progress we've made so far on 7A and 7B. To begin, I would like to introduce the Sterling Ranch team in attendance this afternoon. Brock Smethels is unfortunately not in attendance today. He was called at a late, or he was called away for a late urgent meeting. But we do have Susan Beckman, the Entitlement Director for Sterling Ranch Development Company. As is also customary with Sterling Ranch, we bring our experts to the hearing in case you have technical questions. We want to make sure they're answered promptly and accurately so you feel comfortable supporting our projects. We have Caitlin Sheehan professional engineer with Kimley Horn and Associates. We have Cassie Slade, principal and transportation engineer with Fox Tuttle. And we have Curtis Davidson, planner and landscape architect with PCS Group. Also in attendance is Andrea Cole, the general manager of Dominion Water and Sanitation District, who as of January is officially an established district. She is available for your questions as well. Sterling Ranch is the #1 best-selling master plan community in the metro area. We've held that honor for the last 5 years. We've really grown into a beautiful community with parks, amenities, and strong property values. It's no wonder that so many see the purchase of a home in Sterling Ranch as a good investment and a place for families. Sterling Ranch is located 4 miles south of C470, 1 mile west of Santa Fe on Titan Road. To the north is Chatfield Reservoir. To the south is the Pike National Forest and Roxborough State Park. Our PD has been approved for a density of 12,050 homes. Our total acreage is 3,400 acres with an anticipated 1,300 acres of open space, parks, and 30 miles of connected trails at full build-out. Today, we have over 2,600 occupied homes with over 8,000 residents. We're very proud of our diverse housing stock, which includes single-family, multifamily, townhomes, and multi-gen or next-gen homes. We're at about 20% of that build-out right now. That full build-out will occur in about 20 years. At that time, we'll have a community of over 35,000 residents. Filing 7C, which we're here for today, is located in the heart of Sterling Ranch. It's in the very center of Preliminary Plan 7 in red on the screen, and it'll be utilizing most of the infrastructure installed with prior phases. It's very much just a continuation of the development of Preliminary Plan 7. Preliminary Plan 7 was unanimously approved by the Board of County Commissioners in October 2022. 7A, the first plat, was approved in June of 2024. 7B, the second plat, was approved in January of 2025. These lots and all the required infrastructure are currently being built. Just a fun fact, we are moving over 4 million tons of dirt in order to get this done. Now, 7C is the third final plat related to Preliminary Plan 7, and we're proposing 430 residential lots. Those are split between 104 detached homes and 326 townhome or duplex homes. 7C is a logical extension of the Sterling Ranch infrastructure and complements the other surrounding villages like Providence, Ascent, and Prospect. So the Sterling Ranch PD requires the developer to prepare a neighborhood plan that selects a mix of character zones, which then establishes our development standards that are applicable to this final plat. The setbacks, heights, and density of 7C are dictated by our neighborhood plan. We're in character zone C5, which allows for single-family, multifamily, and commercial development. The density of the site proposed is in conformance with the neighborhood plan, and it does meet the allowable density requirements of the C5 character zone. Now we're to the final plat approval process, which is to provide for the review of the final engineering plans, the subdivision improvement agreement, public dedication, and legal agreements, and to review compliance with the Douglas County approval criteria. Douglas County Engineering and Planning have reviewed the construction drawings. They are approved and have been signed by Douglas County, Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board, Dominion Water and Sanitation District, and South Metro Fire. The subdivision improvements agreement and the public dedication and other legal agreements, they're in good order and they're in your packet. So for approval, all that is left is to review the approval criteria, 50301 through 09. For organizational purposes, I have added a green check mark to the slide deck for approval criteria that Sterling Ranch meets and exceeds. So we'll start with 50301. Conformance with the comprehensive master plan. In your packet is a more detailed compliance document, and it outlines the list, the full list of the CMP goals and policies that we're in compliance with. This slide is just meant to show a few highlights, starting with 2.1, urban development. We are in the Chatfield urban area. We are proposing urban development within that area, so we are in compliance. Moving on to 2-2. providing appropriate trails, wildlife corridors, and open space. We have already preserved significant wildlife movement corridors, including the Willow Creek Drainage Way and Sterling Gulch Wildlife Corridor. And over 30% of preliminary Plan 7, which is 157 acres, is committed to be preserved as parks or open space. 2-9, in terms of necessary infrastructure, we are committed to extending and constructing the necessary infrastructure to support 7C. Much of that infrastructure is already under construction as a part of the prior 7A and 7B plats, so we're ahead of the game already. On to 2-7, regarding housing diversity. We do have a variety of housing that fits differing lifestyles and needs. We have over 20 builders, quality builders, and our stock includes townhomes, multifamily, paired homes, and single-family detached. And the last goal on this slide, prolonging the life of water resources. As you know, Sterling Ranch minimizes water consumption and brings renewable water resources to Douglas County. Currently, Sterling Ranch is served with 100% renewable water. 50302, Article 4, Section 404, which is all about density, connectivity, and design. Between the 104 single-family detached and 326 attached lots, that adheres to the allowable density prescribed by our neighborhood plan. We are not asking for more density. The 7C final plat lots conform in size allowable to Character Zone C5, and the construction documents reflect that vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle traffic can safely and efficiently connect to Sterling Ranch's other villages and to adjacent neighborhoods. The natural terrain, drainage ways, riparian areas, they're seamlessly integrated into the Sterling Ranch development and the greater Chatfield Basin. 50303, compliance with 18A in the Sterling Ranch water appeal. Dominion Water and Sanitation District will supply renewable water to the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board, which will then be delivered by extending infrastructure from existing adjacent filings. Like I said, a lot of that infrastructure has been extended already right up to filing 7C as a result of the prior plats 7A and 7B. In the 7C plat application, there's a signed commitment to serve letter from Dominion that is in your packet. There is also a will serve letter from the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board, who is our retail water provider, also in your packet. Furthermore, the state water engineer's review confirms that the water supply is adequate based on their determination, and that the amount of water required to serve the subdivision is currently physically available. 50304, regarding public wastewater collection and treatment. The sanitary sewer services will be provided through the 7C site. All flows are going to be conveyed to the northern portion of 7C, where the sanitary sewer will tie into a new lift station that we are currently constructing as a part of prior 7A final plat. The Douglas County Health Department has issued a favorable recommendation and supports the proposed method of water service and sewage disposal. That letter is also in your packet. 50305, soil conditions. We do have a geotechnical study prepared for filing 7C that was prepared by A.G. Wassenaar, our geotechnical engineer, which identifies all the areas and special precautions that we will follow regarding soil conditions. We will follow all those recommendations for mitigation outlined in the report that has been accepted by Douglas County staff. As you know, we have expansive soils in Sterling Ranch. We have expansive soils in Colorado as a whole. And as a precautionary measure, we over-excavate every lot. I do want to point out for 7C that we are going a step further than over-excavating just every lot. We're actually over-excavating every block. Not only that, but we are excavating an extra couple feet on top of the existing approximately 21 feet that is required. So we're actually excavating 23 to 24 feet sort of for good measure. You know, we're dedicated to delivering, quality housing, and the foundation is where it all starts. 50306, providing adequate drainage improvements. 7C, we're proposing one detention and water quality pond that was identified in the preliminary Plan 7 Phase 2 drainage report. It is the final of the 4 sort of detention pond network within preliminary Plan 7. The prior 3 are either constructed or under construction with 7A and 7B. The drainage design, it conforms to Douglas County's current storm drainage requirements. Not only are we meeting all the standards, but we are doing great things for the region, including the rehabilitation, revegetation of the East Willow Creek corridor at the bottom of the screen. You may remember in a prior plat application that we're saving a cottonwood in that corridor. And we're repairing a lot of erosion damage and creating a clean drainage way. And then this 4 detention pond network that is illustrated on the screen is actually improving downstream drainage conditions for all of our neighbors off the Sterling Ranch property. 50307, transportation improvements. The site will have multiple points of access off of both, Hooper Street to the east and south. Is what it's the road that wraps on the east and south side, the map in color. There's also access to the north along Sterling Ranch Avenue. Hooper Street and Sterling Ranch Avenue are being constructed with filing A, so that access will be available immediately. Also in your packet is the Fox Tuttle Transportation Study for 7C that confirms that the local road designs encourage a walkable community. Sterling Ranch and Hooper Street were both designed with bicycle paths and sidewalks for connectivity to the trails in Burns Regional Park and the 7A Community Linear Park. 50308, archaeological, natural, and historic resources. For 7C, we did do a Class 3 updated survey and report, and it found that there are no archaeological, natural, or historical resources that will be impacted. 50309, we'll start with the open space portion of this approval criteria. First of all, the staff report in your packet confirms that we are in compliance for filing 7C. Like I said earlier in the presentation, over 30% of preliminary Plan 7 is preserved for parks and open space. That land gets dedicated to the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board, who then seek location and extent processes separate from the final plat process to design and install amenities based on the wants and the needs of our residents. Since they're separate processes from the final plat, you don't necessarily see them in the plat application, so I just wanted to highlight a few of the items that we've got going. It's over $5.5 million of park improvements between 7A, 7B, and 7C. That'll be funded by the residents of Sterling Ranch that are in process right now. That includes 8 pickleball courts that are being built in the Burns Regional Park. Legends Community Park, which is in filing 7A. It's going to have a 12-foot fiberglass climbing wall, a smaller scale children's climbing wall, sports field, and a picnic shelter. And lastly, Prospect Regional Park is currently under construction. These amenities will help serve not just Sterling Ranch, but the greater Chatfield Basin. Continuing 50309, we will have all of the necessary services for 7C. South Metro Fire District will provide fire protection. Douglas County Sheriff's Office will provide law enforcement. Excel will provide gas and electricity. Lumiere Fiber will provide telecom services. And Douglas County School District will be the education provider for filing 7C. We are to the last slide to say in summary that a final plat may be approved if it meets the approval criteria. We do meet all of these approval criteria below. We are supportive of the conditions of approval, including the Excel request. Signed construction documents and technical studies, they've been found acceptable to the engineering department. They've been approved and signed. And I would ask for your support and your vote on this project. That concludes our presentation. Thank you again for your time, and we're prepared to answer any of your questions.
Great, thanks so much, and great job with the presentation. Board, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I've got no questions. This is consistent with the kind of work that is Sterling Ranch has become known for.
Yeah, I would just echo those sentiments, Commissioner Teal. I think we've come to understand and recognize that Sterling Ranch is truly a beautiful residential community. What the fastest growing in the country. I mean, really a lot of superlatives, and we've come to see a really aesthetic and beautiful community come out of the ground. In looking at the approval criteria, I believe that all of those criteria have been met. And seeing no additional questions, I will open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment with regard to this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll open it up for any online comment. Troy, anybody online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. So with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I believe there do need to be 2 motions made if I heard the introductory correct.
I do, and maybe before you do that, since we are taking up 2 motions, I will just ask the applicant if they're okay with all of the conditions.
Kevin Jonk with Sterling Ranch Development Company again. Yes, we are okay with the the approval conditions.
Okay, thanks so much. Commissioner?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, well, let's see. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I do move to approve subdivision improvement agreement and intergovernmental agreement for Sterling Ranch filing number 7C, project file DV 2024-410.
Happy to second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries unanimously.
If it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve Sterling Ranch filing number 7C, final plat, because it does meet all the approval criteria with, correct me if I'm wrong, 10 conditions as presented. Project file is SB 2024-04060.
I will second that motion, and I saw 10 as well.
Okay, great. So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that also carries unanimously. Congratulations. With that, we'll move on to our public hearing agenda items. The first is item 3A, 3 Pine Ridge Zone Map Change, project file DR 2024-004. Mike Pasica presenting for staff. Mike? You know, honestly, like a Coke Zero would be fantastic.
Thank you, Chairman Layden. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mike Pasica representing Planning Services. And the application before you is the 3 Pine Ridge Zone Map Change, project number DR 2024-004, and the owner is Phoenix Larkspur LLC. The request is for a zone map change from suburban residential to agricultural 1 for 66.9 acres of land located approximately 2 miles west of the town of Larkspur and a half-mile east of Perry Park Road. The map change would bring the entirety of the project site into the A1 zone district. The zone district map change process is described in Zoning Resolution Section 112. It sets forth the reasons for a zone map change, one of which is rezoning of land when requested by the property owner to bring it into compliance with the comprehensive master plan, which is the nature of the request this afternoon. The process begins with the submittal of a request. The zone map changed request is processed by staff. Following a 21-day referral period, the request is considered by the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners. Staff received no responses from referral agencies or comments from the public. The Planning Commission heard the request at its March 3rd, 2025 public hearing. There was no public testimony, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the zone map change by a vote of 7-0. Take a look at the CMP vicinity map. The site is located in the south central portion of the county within the West Plum Creek sub-area of the CMP, denoted by the red star on this map. And this is the zoning map, and this shows the zoning of the site outlined in red. As you can see, the entire property is zoned suburban residential and is 66.9 acres in area. The SR zoning on the site does not permit agricultural uses, nor can the site be developed under the SR zone district as central water and sewer are required. The minimum lot size in the SR zone district is 1/2 acre. Lot 1, block 18, as shown on this slide, is not part of this zone map change request and will remain as is. And this is an aerial map. Again, the project site is outlined in red. The site has a scattering of pine trees and scrub oak, but is mostly covered with grasses, and there is no floodplain on the site. The subject parcel was zoned and platted in 1971 as Maribel Village Filing 1 into 1/2 acre lots. There are no paved roads, and central water and sewer services are not available, which are required for development in the SR zone district. The site is undeveloped. In 2024, the board approved a road vacation to vacate several roads internal to the project area. Also in 2024, an administrative replat was approved to vacate and replat 105 1/2 acre lots into 3 lots, which is the current configuration. And one more aerial, this just north is to the left on this, and this just shows the roads that were vacated, which are red, vacated last year by the board. The project site maintains access to Sinclair Boulevard, Sable Road, and Avicia Drive. Staff has evaluated the zone map change request. The map change brings the zoning designation of the site into greater conformance with the CMP provisions for properties in the West Plum Creek sub-area of the CMP. In staff's assessment, the request meets the eligibility criteria as a request by a landowner to bring it into compliance with the master plan. Section 11206 of the zoning resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's consideration of the map change request as noted on this slide. And that concludes staff presentation. We didn't have the applicant prepare a presentation. They are here if you have any questions for them. Otherwise, I can take questions at this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike. Any questions for staff?
No questions.
Nope, and none for me either. With that, I'll open it up for any citizen comment. Any citizen comment with regard to this item? Okay, any citizen comment online?
Thank you, sir. No online comment.
Okay, so with that, we'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Chair, I love these. We've been working on this as the staff report showed. We've been working on getting this property kind of to this state where it can be returned to A1. Not many people know the story of the failed Mirabel project or Mirabel Village project, but obviously a development from the 1970s that just never went anywhere. And it's, I know the owner of this property has been working on returning it to kind of A1, preserving it as open space. I love when we see these. Not to say that I don't love our other communities that are still growing. Looking at you guys, Sterling Ranch. I love it when you guys come in with a really good plan on building out great neighborhoods. But then when we have these developments that just got stranded, and we do have a conscientious landowner who wants to kind of preserve it in private property as it stands, I love it. So if it pleases the board, I do have a motion to approve 3 Pine Ridge zone map changes. Project file is DR 2024-004.
Second.
Great, we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. With that, we'll move on to our final item for public hearing agenda items, which is item 3B, River Canyon Filing 1A, Fourth Amendment, Minor Development Final Plat, Project File SB 2024-064. Heather Scott presenting for staff, and perhaps it's, Mike, is it you again?
No, it is not. I'm just
Okay.
getting it ready for Jeanette. Thank you.
Jeanette Bear. Okay, welcome, Jeanette.
Yeah, Jeanette Bear, filling in for Heather Scott on this one, project number SB 2024-064. The applicant, I think I've gone too far. The applicant is requesting a minor development final plat approval on about 177-acre site. 4 new residential lots that are 1 to 1.3 acres in size, and then there are 8 tracts that are being reconfigured as well. The intent of the minor development process is to provide for a streamlined review process for the creation of 10 or fewer single-family residential lots and for other types of non-residential development. In this case, there was a submittal, there was a referral agency referral period to different agencies. There was public comment provided. Public comment was received from adjacent property owners located in the Roxborough Park neighborhood expressing concerns related to impacts to neighborhood character, property values, and the natural environment. The applicants are prepared to discuss how they have addressed that as part of their presentation. All the referral agency comments are outlined in the referral agency response report, as well as the referral letters that were attached to the staff report, and I think are actually on your chair as well. And I think there was one that was provided from Excel dealing with gas service, which the applicant will also address. Ultimately, after the Planning Commission hearing, it then comes to the Board of County Commissioners at a public hearing for a final determination. The Planning Commission did hear this project. On March 3rd, there were no members of the public that provided testimony. The Planning Commission really did not have any significant concerns or questions. The project was recommended for approval by a vote of 7-0. This shows the location of the project relative to the CMP land use map. And you can see it's in the northwest portion of the county, and it's within the Roxborough separated urban area per the comp plan. The River Canyon Filing 1A Fourth Amendment area is identified in red on this particular map. Specifically shows the full extent of all the changes, everything that's being replatted with this project. This is more of a close-in view of the area that's subject to the 4 new lots and then some of the adjustments being made to fairways 8 and 9. By way of background, this project actually began back in the early 2000s with the approval of a sketch plan, and there were some final plats that were approved. There have been various replats and adjusted lots, tracts, and easements over the years. In 2024, there was a PD amendment approved by the board to shift use areas to allow for residential, golf course, and open space in this specific area. And the minor development plat creates those lots and those adjustments in accordance with that recent PD amendment. Again, this is a snippet of the plat exhibit, and it shows the full extent of all the tracts that are impacted by the replat. This one focuses in more on the area that's really subject to development. You can see the 4 new lots down in this corner, and then some of the shifts to the open space and golf course tracks that will enable some of the changes to fairways 8 and 9 that the applicant is also proposing. That's subject to a concurrent site improvement plan application that is nearly done at this point in time. The applicant will go into greater detail about this exhibit and tell you all the great things about it. These are a few views. This is looking north from the water tank, overlooking the 8th fairway. There will be an extension of Cicero Court that will provide access that's located in this general area. This is looking, well, I could have this messed up. See, this is when you fill in for the previous planner. So I think this is the view from the water tank, actually. This is looking east from the water tank towards the hogback and proposed lots 3 and 4. And then finally, this is a view from the cart path between the existing 7th and 15th fairways looking north to Cicero Court. This is the location of the extended private road that's going to serve those 4 lots. This slide lists the approval standards for a minor development final plat. Staff's assessment of these standards is discussed in detail in the staff report. Staff has evaluated the minor development final plat in accordance with Article 6 of the Douglas County subdivision resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for the minor development plat have been met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in the motion. And as you can see here, condition number 1 was kind of a tracking condition from the Planning Commission hearing, and this condition has been met. So I think there were a total of 7 conditions initially. Now there will be 6. Engineering for the concurrent SIP has been approved, including the drainage facilities that serve the residential lots. And those drainage facilities have been secured within the approved SIA for the plat. So that's why that condition has been met. Moving on to number 2, prior to plat recordation, the applicant shall pay $1,000 to Douglas County for cash in lieu of parkland dedication. Number 3, prior to plat recordation, the applicant shall pay $2,000 to the Douglas County School District for cash in lieu of school land dedication, and then $2,368 for school capacity to the Douglas County School District. That's a fee that's actually specified in the PD. And then condition 4, prior to building permit issuance for lots 1 through 3, evidence shall be provided that the 10-foot wide utility easement and the golf cart path easement have been vacated. That would then allow for the development of those lots. Number 5, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, their successors, and assigned shall take reasonable care to watch for historic resources, paleontological resources, and other cultural history resources, and shall immediately notify Douglas County in the event of such discovery. Condition 6, prior to recordation of the minor development final plat, technical corrections to the plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And then finally, the last condition, which is the kind of catch-all for the Board of County Commissioners, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public hearing and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 604.08 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the board's parameters for making a determination on final plats, on minor development final plats. And that concludes my presentation. I can take questions if you have any regarding the staff report. Otherwise, the applicants do have a presentation for you today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeanette, and thanks for filling in. Any questions for staff?
No questions.
Okay, I don't have any questions either. We'll go ahead and welcome up the applicant with their presentation. And I'll just start by asking, are you okay first if you want to just state your name and where you're from? We know who you are, but we'll do that for the record. And then if you want to let us know if you're okay with the conditions as presented.
Yes, we are okay with the conditions as presented. My name is Jeff Collins, Collins, and I am a resident of Douglas County. Good afternoon, Commissioners Teal, Layden, and Van Winkle. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to explain why our proposed River Canyon Filing 1A Fourth Amendment minor plat complies with Douglas County minor plat requirements, serves community interests, and as a result, we believe the application should be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. Again, my name is Jeff Collins. I'm the Vice President of River Canyon Real Estate Investments, the applicant, which owns and operates Ravenna Country Club, previously known as the Club at Ravenna, and the golf community. We are a family-owned and operated business. With me this afternoon is my father, Kevin Collins, the owner, president, and CEO of River Canyon Real Estate Investments, Kynan Franke of Sage Design Group, and Boston Blake of Terracina Design. Douglas County has a long history of exemplary community planning and growth management, a reputation well-deserved, as we've seen in previous applications just in today's meetings. It is one of the fastest-growing counties in the United States, which has a balance of communities, commerce, excellent public services and schools, and recreation opportunities, protecting the natural habitat of Douglas County and a special place to live and work. With the approval of the River Canyon Filing 1 Fourth Amendment minor plat development, River Canyon will uphold the standards Douglas County has set forth. As you can see here in red, this is the project area. Jeanette, did a great job of expanding how big the actual project area is, but where construction and so forth will take place is in this outlined red area here. So with that being said, this is where Roxborough, hitting buttons here. But Roxborough is in this area here to the west and south. As you can see, track J1, J2, J3 are the proposed golf course improvement areas owned by River Canyon that's highlighted here in green. The Ravenna Metro District will still own and maintain tracks X1, Y1, Y2, and Y3 for water storage, utilities, drainage, and open space. That is in the blue areas here. Track X2 is in pink. That is a proposed private drive that will be owned by the Ravenna HOA for drainage, landscaping, and utilities. This proposal supports the logic build-out of the SUA through the River Canyon Plan Development that was approved in 2001. We are allowed 250 dwelling units, and with the approval of this application, we will remain below that 250 unit cap. Our proposal utilizes existing infrastructure for water and sewer. These systems will benefit from this project by the upgrades that they will receive. Roxborough Water and Sanitation District will benefit by increasing services that it provides to these 4 home sites. The proposed private drive will be extended from Cicero Court to the end of Ravenna. There are also 2 emergency access gates located along this drive. I would like to emphasize that the original access agreement between the Ravenna Metro District and the Roxborough Park Foundation will be used as intended. Only emergency vehicle access and authorized quasi-government personnel will be able to use that. There will be no residential use through those gates. The new home sites are being built in close proximity to the lots on Cicero Court and Roxborough Park. The lots are located in an area where there will be minimal disturbance upon existing landscaping. There will be no disturbance to the Red Rock Formation as you see it. The lots range from 1 acre to 1 1/3 acre, which is consistent with the Ravenna PD, River Canyon PD. Per the PD, we are required to create building envelopes for any sites over 3/4 of an acre. The reason why we have this in place is to help minimize view corridors disturbance, limit building space to preserve open space and sensitive areas, and have adequate room for wildlife corridors. There are no geological hazards or floodplains that will prevent this site from being redeveloped. All of the site improvements are above the 100-year surface elevation of Little Willow Creek at the base of the Hogback. Dang it, I keep hitting the wrong button. Right through here. There are also no increase of impervious runoff to the natural drainage ways, as there is a detention pond here on the north end, and the 8th fairway are to be the filtration system before water enters Little Willow Creek. We are taking all necessary measures to create screening along the southern and western boundaries with landscaping, existing natural vegetation, and utilizing the natural topography. As you can see here in green, this is where there will be manicured landscaping. The intent is to mitigate any headlights shining along the new private drive. Here in pink will be natural vegetation as it is seen throughout this entire area. And the blue arrows do kind of give a little bit of a flavor of the view corridors as you look through from the south to the north and the east. With regards to those building envelopes, they are actually larger, or the footprint is lessened than the rest of the development, as the side setbacks in the PD are 10 feet. These side setbacks with regards to the building envelopes are 25 feet. So those have increased by double, and the rear setbacks are from 15 to 30 feet. The street and stormwater facilities design has met the requirements per Douglas County standards and are approved. The use of the drainage detention pond, as I spoke about before here, and the 8th fairway do act as a water treatment system before it enters any natural drainage ways. The proposal intends to utilize and maintain the natural terrain as much as possible, specifically the natural drainage way of the eastern portion of the project, right along the Red Rocks. The golf course and home sites within Ravenna are integrated to enhance the natural beauty of the area. ERO confirmed they're unaware of any cultural resources that need to be preserved. With the extension of Cicero Court as a private drive, there will be on-street parking available, with the road being 24 feet wide. This will improve safety and convenience for the new residents and their guests. The new residents will also have the ability to drive golf carts in the community to access the country club's amenities for dining, pool usage, the golf course, and the wellness center. Please note the additional 2 emergency access gates for this project. The soils report indicated potential hazards, but found that with the proper engineering, design, and construction, these hazards will not impede the development of this project. Each home site will be required to create their own soil sample. Roxborough Water and Sanitation District has confirmed that it is in compliance with being able to supply the development with the adequate water supply. Roxborough Water and Sanitation District has confirmed and is in compliance with being able to provide wastewater treatment capacity for the 4 new home sites. We will adhere to any recommendations and requirements for this site based on the soils analysis done by CTL Thompson. Any hazards can be remediated. Each individual home site will require its own soil sample, and the design of the home will be based off that analysis. The drainage design for this site has been approved by Douglas County Engineering. A detention pond next to the tee boxes and, again, the 8th fairway do act as a filtration system for this site. Cicero Court will be extended south as a private drive to serve the 4 new home sites. We have met all the county's criteria, including 2 additional emergency access points, and engineering has accepted the traffic impact study. Ravenna contracted ERO to create a study for any potential cultural, archaeological, historic resources. There were no recommendations or actions to redevelop this project area. The Douglas County Historic Preservation has no record of any required actions either. In the event the artifacts are discovered during excavation, we will notify the proper authorities. There are no known commercial mining deposits or significant mineral deposits on site per the Douglas County Mineral Extraction Plan. All services are available to the parcel. Fire protection is provided by West Metro. Douglas County Sheriff's Office provides police protection. The utility service facilities are provided by Xcel, Core Electric, Comcast, and CenturyLink. Xcel has looked at their records and so forth and has issued multiple will serve letters. That's one piece that was given to you today. That was per one of their requirements that we had started the design process with them. We had a will serve previously, and now we have started that design process and have had an additional will serve letter for this area for natural gas. I state with full confidence that River Canyon's minor development final plat is in complete compliance with relevant Douglas County Subdivision Resolution Article 6 approval standards. With that being said, I believe the Board of County Commissioners should approve our request for the River Canyon Filing 1A Fourth Amendment Minor Development Final Plat. I'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon and would be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Well, excellent presentation, and very similar to the previous applicant. I know we have come to know Ravenna as a tremendous jewel in our community in Douglas County, and you all have been great contributors to the work that we do in the county, and it's always an honor to see you all here with us. Let me open it up to the Board of County Commissioners for any questions. Yes, Commissioner
Thank you,
Van Winkle.
Mr. Chair, and thank you for the very thorough layout of your proposed plan here. I guess the obvious question for me, and maybe my only question, will be there are homes currently on the west side of Roxborough Drive North and also the south side. What communication's been done with those homes or homeowners, and what have you heard?
We saw that we had two inquiries through the county process. We did respond through the county, and we've tried to reach out to them. We've even done an open house for Roxborough residents at the club as just a peace offering, saying, hey, we're open. We would like you to see what we're about. So we have tried many different things, but we feel that we've adequately addressed and tried to manipulate the site to best serve both needs.
Okay, and just to follow up, Mr. Chair, and so that would be those view lines that you talked about earlier. Okay. And then, I guess, and I said one question, so I guess now.
You can ask as many questions as you'd like.
I do appreciate that, because one did come to mind. So there's a current North Roxborough Drive, and then it looks like, is that like a bike path, a cart path? What is that? And then there'll be Cicero continued on the other side. So that'll just be a plot of open space with a walking path? Is that correct?
So yes, you are correct. On the west side, that is Roxborough Drive North. Then there is a walking path within Roxborough. And then currently there is a golf cart path right where the proposed private road, private drive, will be. So that it's not changing a whole lot. It's just we're creating more of a private drive. And then right along there, we are proposing to add additional landscaping to provide a little bit of a breakup in the area.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Teal?
Really no questions for the applicant. I, recall the work we did on this last year, this particular piece of land, and it looks for all the world like the applicant has been responsive to the input that was received to go into this final plat. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Mr. Collins, I just have a couple of questions. Are you able to pull up that connecting roadway to the Roxborough community?
Sorry, it might take me 1 second.
No problem.
I think I have a little bit better one than that one. Are you talking about this one here?
I think so, probably in that bottom corner where it references Cicero, looks like Cicero Court. So is that basically where the Roxborough community begins, or I guess ends, or joins your neighborhood?
No, Roxborough does not start until right here,
Got it.
currently.
Oh, I see, with the Roxborough
So
Drive North.
this is
Okay.
the access, emergency access gate right through here. So
Mhm.
Cicero Court, all this area is within the River Canyon PD.
Yeah. You know, I just hearkening back to wildfire mitigation and preparedness, you know, it seems as though ease of access through that corridor would be a positive for adjacent neighborhoods. Obviously, you're doing a lot more with the Roxborough neighborhood. I wonder, you mentioned briefly that in your conversations with them, you provided assurances that it would be closed. Are they asking you for it to be closed?
Right now, it is currently closed.
Yeah.
And per the agreement between Roxborough Park Foundation and the Ravenna Metro District, there are emergency access capabilities through both those gates. This one to the north end is a thoroughfare for in case of wildfire. Roxborough can exit through Ravenna, or vice versa. If it's coming from the north side, Ravenna can exit through Roxborough.
Yeah.
So we do have that. And then this gate over here is a emergency access gate in case fire, police, or so forth are actually going through Roxborough. So that's what they were referencing before. And one of the things I just wanted to assure the kind people over in Roxborough that we are not opening these gates for residential use to be able to go up into Roxborough. We're not going to open the gates and say you can drive through. This is only for quasi-governmental entities such as Roxborough Water and Sanitation, Excel, and emergency access.
That's helpful. I mean, from an emergency egress, ingress standpoint, I think it's really relevant. And obviously, this particular portion of our county, if there were, you know, God forbid, a catastrophic wildfire that sparked in and around either your neighborhood or within Roxborough, every minute counts. So walk me through the hypothetical of, you know, catastrophic wildfire and people need to get through those gates. Who's opening those gates and how quickly does that occur?
The Roxborough Park Foundation has keys to these gates. The Ravenna HOA now has keys to these gates. The fire department has keys to these gates. Douglas County Sheriff's has keys to these gates. Even Roxborough Water and Sanitation, which is in the area quite often. So we have a multitude of different agencies that have access to these gates and that are within close proximity to be able to get in, get those opened up, and get things moving.
Okay. Well, these are your neighborhoods, not ours, and I would defer to, you know, the will of your neighborhood and of Roxborough, but it seems as though it'd be helpful if you're good neighbors for those to have some measure of fairly rapid access. And I guess barring some really significant opposition from either you or the neighborhood, it seems like that would be a great potential access point even for residential use, unless I'm hearing that's something you're not interested in entertaining.
I believe both parties don't want either one necessarily going through. I know that there's some foot traffic through those areas,
Okay.
but I don't think either group would like to see one drive through on a regular basis,
Okay.
from my understanding.
Helpful to understand that. And then what is your projected timeline for development of lots 1 through 4?
The projected timeline is to start this project in October. And complete. Obviously, construction is definitely a moving target sometimes, especially depending on weather. But we want to get this completed within 6 months.
Okay.
We have a lot of dirt moving, and that's pretty much what the extent of it is, and minimal utility use or movement. So we believe we can get it done within 6 months.
Okay. Are those lots spoken for? Are those already purchased, or those are,
Those are not spoken for yet.
they're not? Do you have a particular price point for those? And feel free, that's not something you need to answer, but you have my curiosity
We do have some price points
piqued.
in mind, but I don't want to say that in this public setting.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I don't have any additional questions. I'll ask the board again if they have anything additional. Okay. With that, let me open it up for any citizen comment, either in the room or online, with regard to this item.
Commissioner, I have no online comment.
Thank you, Troy. With that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I can see how a project like this might be troublesome for those neighbors that have been there for a long time, and the fact that you reached out to them, held open houses, and were very proactive. There was no testimony against it today or no concern raised at this meeting. Perhaps previously that you've addressed, especially with those sight lines. I appreciate the sensitivity you gave to those neighbors and the thought that's gone into this. And so therefore, Mr. Chair, I move to approve River Canyon filing 1A, Fourth Amendment minor development, because it does meet all the approval criteria with the 6 conditions as presented. Final plat, project file, SB 2024-064.
Thank you for that motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, and in the prior projects, prior meetings concerning this project, we've seen quite a bit of participation from the neighboring community. Actually, I'll go so far as to say we saw opposition. And so I think it's a credit to Ravenna, the work they did, because there's no one speaking in opposition today. Based on my memory, it looks like you've dealt with a lot of the concerns in this final plat, so I'm happy to second.
Great. So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? I'll just say I've reviewed the approval criteria, and I believe that it has been, all of those approval criteria have been met, so I will be in support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Congratulations. So that concludes our business for today. Thank you for joining us. The next land use meeting public hearing will be held on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. We are adjourned.